my YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me for another one of my videos. So today I was kind of like, what can I film? And this topic was actually something I was like, oh my god, I don't think you've ever actually specifically covered awakenings or even the dark night of the soul. So I was really passionate about filming this video because I think it's super helpful for people who are maybe just starting out on the law of attraction journey, or people who are kind of like, what the hell is going on in my life? Or if you know someone in your life who could potentially be going through that. So today I wanted to talk all about spiritual awakenings and the dark night of the soul. So for those of you who don't know what the dark night of the soul is, I didn't know what it was until about 4 or 5 months ago. It's a term used, I guess, as another way to define a spiritual awakening. So it's, you know, where your soul goes through the darkness, where it really goes through all the ego and it's like purging and kind of like transforming into a new awakened version. So let's not confuse it, let's not make it complicated. It's pretty much the same as a spiritual awakening. So we'll use spiritual awakening, but I wanted to obviously include both terms because both terms are applicable and some people might relate to the other term more than the other. So for me personally, I went through my spiritual awakening 2 years ago. Now, spiritual awakenings will look so different to everybody. Like, there is no one shoe fits all with spiritual awakenings. Some can be quite subtle, quite natural, quite peaceful, and some you'll just be hit with a life truck and you'll be like, what the hell has just happened to me? It depends what journey you picked to come here and learn, obviously. So yeah, some people will just, it will just happen and it will be like, oh, I believe in spiritualism now, like I do law of attraction, I do this, and it was just quite a subtle transformation. Whereas some people, you know, it could be like career change, relationship change, you know, maybe even a death of a family member, like, God, it could literally be anything. It could be depression, it can be so many things. So there's no like kind of signs that you've got a spiritual awakening. Obviously there are. Circumstance wise, obviously it's totally unique to the individual. So yeah, you know, majority of people will either go through a bit of anxiety, depression, they will you know, just they'll be searching for more. I think they'll almost feel lost. Like, I definitely felt lost, and I think a lot of people I've met have kind of felt the same, that they felt very lost. They didn't really know what to do with their life. They didn't really feel like they had a purpose. They wanted more from life. They wanted to find out more about life, I guess. It's that almost like yearning to do more, be more, and I guess have a purpose, like do something with their life. So they kind of say that, you know, from stuff I'd learned, that it's stereotypically through your 30s that you would stereotypically kind of have this transformation. But obviously more and more people way younger are having spiritual awakenings, waking up. I mean, I was 22, 23 when it happened to me. So, you know, that was incredibly young. I know people younger than me who are spiritually awakened. I coach 17-year-olds who are spiritually awakened. So there are obviously so, like, literally, this is what I mean. There is no one shoe fits all anymore for spiritual awakening. So I'm just gonna say it can happen at any age, really. It doesn't have to be in that 30 bracket, but I think if you were to look at it from a human perspective or like your monkey perspective, you know, when you go through your 30s, essentially you kind of have to grow up, don't you? You're kind of at that stage where you're like, right, I need to adult now, I should probably settle down, I need to find what I'm doing in life. So 20s are obviously like all the learning curves, all the nice, beautiful, shitty times. And then your 30s are kind of stereotypically, well, I don't know, I haven't been through it, but you know, from what people would say to me, and stereotypically, it is more of finding your purpose, like being like, nah, I'm growing up now, finding my purpose, and that's why it kind of happens at that age. Some could be subtly, some could be law of attraction, some could be meditation. Like, there is also no entry route of how you spiritually awaken. Some people might try it with meditation, some people might try it with law of attraction. Gosh, some people might try it with Reiki, some people might try it with crystals. There are so many different ways that you can obviously get into spirituality, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, again, there is no right or wrong way to do it. So kind of the signs, like I said, that you're kind of going through a spiritual awakening, or, you know, just yearning for more, shall we say, or even a dark night of the soul. I think a dark night of the soul specifically is more of the depression side of things, where it's literally your whole life falling away, your whole old self. And I definitely had this 2 years ago when I spiritually awakened, and I've had it again. Like, you can have more than one spiritual awakening. It won't be as intense, like, I don't know, definitely not as intense, but they will be you know, just as awakening. You just feel it, you're like, whoa. When you look back, you're like, wow, I definitely had another awakening, because I totally believe different stuff now. I'm definitely doing different stuff. I'm a completely different person. So a dark night of the soul / spiritual awakening is a transformation, absolute transformation of yourself. It's kind of letting go of the conditioning, letting go of the ego, letting go of just all of the stuff that doesn't serve us anymore. So whether that's friends, like my friends and my ex cleared out, so like obviously my relationship broke down, and that was what kind of triggered me into this, and I was depressed at the time, just like really suicidal, really in a shit place. And yeah, then, you know, when my ex left, it just pushed me over the edge. I was just like, I've got to do something. Like, I can't live like this. And it was almost that light bulb moment where you get to a point where you're like, I can't live like this anymore. Like, I physically can't. And it's almost like your body fights and fights and fights, and your mental health fights and fights and fights. And then you just give up. And it's almost that releasing, that letting go, where you're like, I just can't do this anymore. Help me. And it's almost that like spiritual surrender of like, help me, I'm done. And that's when obviously, you know, the help comes through, the recovery comes through, and, you know, you can get back, or well, not get back on track, but you can obviously find your new path in life and find the new you, and, you know, create the life that you want, essentially. So yeah, dark night of the soul can be a heavy process, a really heavy process. You know, for myself, I can vouch for that. I know other people who have, but like I said, it doesn't just have to look like depression. Like, I definitely want to stress that it can look like so many different things, but it will just feel freaking dark. It will just feel shitty. It will just feel meaningless. And like, that's the thing, like, I think your life just feels meaningless, and you're like, I need more. Like, I want to find out why I'm here. I want to find out what I'm doing here, what my purpose is. It's just that yearning for more, yearning for purpose, and yearning to, I guess, for me, to be a better person. It was to be happier, to be fulfilled, to be, you know, doing good things in the world. That's what it definitely felt like for me. So the kind of time frames, like, again, absolute guess. Like, you know, there is no like strict time frames on how long this can last. So I know this is like a very vague video. It's like, yeah, basically anything can happen, like blah blah blah. But essentially, like, awakening or a dark night of the soul can last weeks, months, or even years. Like, there is absolutely no designated time frame for people. It is obviously your soul contract, like what you've agreed to go through. So mine, although it was like, I was through the depression for quite a while, once I'd had the light bulb moment when I released and asked for help from the universe, it literally was 3-4 weeks before I had transformed my mindset. I was happier, and I had started doing the law of attraction, and I felt good again. So for me, it was about a month to transform myself, but obviously before it had probably been 6 months. About 6 months I was obviously depressed, and still being in that relationship, still being in that phase of my life. So it definitely wasn't like quick, definitely not. And, you know, it really just depends on the individual. So if you're going through an awakening, the best things you can do is to just be gentle with yourself. Like, witness that, you know, this could potentially be what you're going through. You know, obviously, if you feel like you need to get, you know, medical help, or, you know, speak to a doctor and see if there any medication would help with depression and anxiety and things like that. Obviously, that is really important that you honor that and go and do that, because, you know, it's important to honor your human self as well as your spiritual self. So if you feel drawn that that's going to help you, then you definitely should do that, because that is a loving thing to do as well. But equally, myself, I didn't feel that medication was for me. I knew that I could do it myself, and I wanted to, so that's what I did. I did try medication. It didn't help me. To be honest, it made me feel worse. So it was not for me. But like I said, that is not medical advice. Like, you need to do what is best for you at any given time. So that's obviously the first things you can do, is to just witness it, and obviously get the appropriate help if you feel that you need some medication or even counseling or anything like that which can assist you through this. You know, I did CBT and that really helped me. I didn't do that through my awakening. I did that a year prior. So techniques and things I'd learned from that I did obviously implement in my awakening, and then I found the law of attraction, and then I found the magic and the secret. So for me, I followed them, and they were kind of like my counselors. They were kind of like the help I needed, which I knew was going to get me through that phase of my life. I know that, you know, not giving a time frame is probably pretty shit if you're going through it now, because you're like, oh my god, I've probably gone through this for months, and like, when is it going to be over? I just want to be happy. But the thing is like, you're being taught some lessons right now. Like, you're literally shredding away the old you. You're letting go and releasing, whether that's of people, of yourself, any characteristics, behaviors, literally anything. So this is a process, and you know, just take it day by day. Definitely take it hour by hour, day by day. That's all you can ever do when you're feeling a bit helpless or feeling just stuck, I guess, stuck and like, I just want to be happy. Like, it's definitely a day by day process, and you'll realize, like, as weeks go by, months go by, you will realize how far you're actually going, the transformation you are going through. And just know that it's all happening for the highest good, and that basically there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Everybody comes out of it eventually, like, everybody does. And once you kind of like initiated that spiritual awakening, like once you realize it, and you know, maybe you're reading books, maybe you're doing some spiritual stuff already, you know, that transformation is already in the process, it's already happening. So it's about recognizing how far you've come already, and honoring that, and being grateful for the journey at the same time. You know, law of attraction is all about being grateful. It's all about being loving to yourself. So the best thing you can do is really be loving to yourself as much as you can at the moment, even if you hate the way you look, the way you are. You know, really acknowledge that and think, right, I need to work on some self-love. So maybe you don't feel quite ready yet to do law of attraction, or maybe you are doing law of attraction and you're trying to like just improve your life and get through this. Then self-love is 100% the best thing to do, because when you can work on your inner peace, your outer world will reflect that peace. So remember, it's that mirror, like attracts like. So it's all about working on the inner harmony, the inner peace, the inner love, because then that's what's going to reflect outside, and you will attract loving, peaceful, harmonious friends, relationships, circumstances. So it's all an inner job, definitely, for spiritual awakenings. I mean, everything's always an inner job, that never changes. But especially for this, it's really important to witness that. It's, you know, I think it's easy for us to just be like, oh, well, I'm obviously going through a spiritual awakening, so I'll just sit it out. Like, no, there are so many things that you can do to be proactive. Even if you feel like you're not getting anywhere, it's really important to just honor where you are, honor where you've come from, any transformation. So for me, like, I was proud that I walked away from my ex because I tolerated stuff for so long. I was proud that I had walked away, and I was able to honor my worth and love again. So look at the lessons you can take from that, maybe work on some forgiveness. You know, it's all the inner job inside that needs to happen to accommodate the awakening or the change or the transformation, so that, you know, you can manifest these amazing things into your life, and you can become that person you've always wanted to be. You can, you know, attract the people into your life that you've always wanted to have. So it's a process, and something which I think not a lot of people probably talk about. And, you know, they talk about saying, oh, how horrible it was, or like how intense it was. But then I think for those people who are actually going through those things, they need some advice as well, because that's a scary thing. Like, when you're going through it and you feel like, what on earth is happening? You need that advice. You need that kind of reassurance that you're not going crazy. You're absolutely fine. Things always do get better. You will come out of this. And it's about acknowledging what the right thing to do at any given time is for you. So whether, like I said, that's medication, counseling, whether that's self-help books, whether that's whatever, like Reiki, I was trying to think of like all the things you could do. Like, there's so many wonderful things that you can do to help yourself, and that is again the key as well, almost the attitude to want to help yourself. I've known people who don't want to help themselves, and it's sad and it's frustrating, because you're just like, I don't want to see you suffer, I don't want to see you go through this. And especially if you know someone in your life who is going through that, and they're just really not getting it, and they're really not helping themselves, like, obviously do as much as you can, be loving, be patient, and obviously do what feels right for you at all times. Like always like go in and say like, is this what I should be doing? Does this feel good to do it? But ultimately, like if you've done all of that, you've done your best, you've done all you can, then you've done all you can. And it's really, you know, a lot of spiritual awakenings, like mine for instance, was a very alone job. It was very much I had to do it myself. No one else could get involved, no one else recommended anything to me. It was all an inner self journey. So, you know, some people are, well, to be honest, most people are going to be the same. So it's sometimes like people have to have that realization themselves, and sometimes they need to just have like filter everything out to be able to have that headspace to think, right, I actually need to get that help now. I actually want to better myself. I want to be happy. I want to live an incredible life. So I think, you know, I'm an empath, and I know so many other people are, and you know, it's horrible to see someone go through that. It's not nice. It's, you know, and especially when you've gone through it yourself, you're like, I know how to fix this, yay. But some people just aren't ready to hear that. They're not ready to do that, and they're not willing to do that for themselves. So it's also important to know that you like can't save everybody. You can't fix everybody. That's just not our job. Our job is to make sure that our inner peace, like our inner happiness and our inner self-love is all intact. Because remember, if you can't love yourself, you can't love anybody else. You can't help anybody else if you're not filling your own cup first. So it's really important to not deplete yourself in that situation and not like burn yourself out to try and like help these people, because that's just going to make you feel shit. It's going to make you be sacrificing everything, and that's not a loving or respectful thing to do for yourself. So if you can say like, I've done my best, then it's really down to that person to really go on that journey for themselves and discover it for themselves. And it's almost like giving them their power back. It's obviously taking your power back, and it's also allowing them to have their power, because they will learn so much more from doing it for themselves and discovering it for themselves. So, you know, it's giving them that power back and saying, do you know what, you've got this. Like, I believe you've got this. I believe you'll do this. But for me, like, I need to, you know, I need to be respectful to myself, or I need to be loving to myself and know that I've done my best. So be patient, be there for those people. But, you know, if you have kind of tried to have the conversation, or you've tried to help and it's just really not working, then just know when it's enough. Just know when you've done enough in that situation, definitely. All in all, like, I know so many people are like, oh my God, spiritual awakenings, like, oh, they're so traumatic. Oh, they're all of this. And to be honest, like, it will shift you, it will change you as a person, but for all the right reasons, And, you know, 2 years, like looking back now, I'm so grateful that happened. It was shit at the time. It was horrid. I was not loving life, and I was not happy. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. It was not, God, it was not great. It was not the best years of my life, shall we say. But looking back now, like, I know it all had to happen for a fantastic reason. It cleared all those things out of my life to welcome in so much more love, abundance, and like miracles. So, you know, it's like with everything in life, at the time you can't kind of see why it's had to happen, or why, like, you know, the reasons. You're like, why has this happened? Why is this? And it's so easy to kind of like sit in that victim mode. But when you're like out of the situation, and even like 6 months down the line, or even 12 months down the line, you look back and you're like, wow, I know why that had to happen. And then one day you'll look back and say, do you know what? I'm quite glad that happened, because it's made me the person I am today. You know, if I hadn't gone through that spiritual awakening, I wouldn't be doing all of this. Like, so for me, the fact that I get to, you know, have an incredible business where I help people and do all of this and film videos, and I'm passionate and I love what I do, like, that's a miracle. You know, the fact that I have incredible people in my life, that's a miracle. So there are so many miracles that can come from a dark night of the soul or spiritual awakening, but it may take some time for you to see that. But just know that in 6 months' time, whatever you're worrying about, whatever's really affecting you, you won't feel the same as how you feel today. It will feel different, it will feel better. And in 12 months' time, you'll look back again and you'll be like in a whole different space, And we all know how quick time goes. Like, I feel like this year's flown by, which I'm quite glad about. So like I said, you can obviously go through multiple awakenings. Like there's definitely not just one. I would say like one's probably the pinnacle one, but you know, you can go through mini awakenings, just mini revelations, and you know, things happen again and things change and you transform and you grow as a person. So you know, we all have troubles in our life, we all have things that happen, but essentially what I would say is the difference of a spiritual awakening compared to just going through a rough time is more a case of you're learning, you're transforming, you're yearning for more, and the old is like being kind of stripped away, almost like you're shedding that skin, that old layer of you. So you will know deep down whether it's a spiritual awakening or not. Like you will just know, and you'll know that there's a greater reason why this is happening. Like with everything, you'll know why it's happening, maybe not straight away, but eventually you will, and it's just really important to honor where you're at. So if you want to read books, if you want to do self-help, if you want to, you know, do whatever, see a counselor, speak to a life coach, like whatever, then, you know, definitely do those things and make sure those things feel good for you at the time. Like don't force yourself into those things, because sometimes you need that kick up the bum. Sometimes you're like, right, I just need to get on with this. I just need to do this. But it's about trusting your intuition, trusting the message within you, which is saying like, does this feel in alignment for me? Does this feel right? And you can try things, you know, if you try things, you're like, oh, okay, that didn't quite, you know, I didn't quite like that, or I want to try something different. That's all about trying things as well. But, you know, as long as you are really working on yourself, being gentle with yourself, allowing yourself to feel these things, work through these emotions, whether that's forgiveness, finding forgiveness for anything, including yourself, whether that's, gosh, like anything. There's so many situations it could be, but you know, as long as you are actively working through that and you know that you are open and receptive to improving this, working on this and improving your life, then you are doing all the things you can. Like sometimes we feel like we should be doing more. We're like, oh my god, and I will hold my hands up to this. I am an absolute like doer. So I'm like, I need to be doing more. I need to be doing more. But sometimes it just is a process. And sometimes it's taking it hour by hour, day by day, and just feeling into these things and being gentle with yourself. Because if you're harsh with yourself, like beating yourself up that you're not further along than you think you should be, or you're not like healing as quickly as you should be, that's not self-loving. That's not loving towards yourself. That's just beating yourself up. And you know, I'm all about being productive. I'm all about doing these things 100%, but it's got to feel good for you. Otherwise it's not gonna work. It's not gonna heal anything. It's not gonna improve anything if you're just kind of doing it for the sake of doing it. So definitely like, just honor your process, see how far you've already come and feel really grateful for that and embrace that. And then moving forward, you know, just set out what it is you want to improve. You know, like it is with law of attraction, is that goals you want to achieve, people you want to manifest, things you want to change in your life. Have those goals, but equally just be gentle, go through the process. So for me, when I was like in my kind of light bulb moment where I was like, right, I want to improve. So really like, until you get to that point where you're like, something needs to change, I need to do something, I need to like help myself, I read the book called The Magic. So I watched The Secret on Netflix, which is Rhonda Byrne's book / film, which is the most popular law of attraction kind of text out there. I then read her second book, The Magic, and this for me really helped me, because it helped me to find gratitude, it helped me to find positivity even in the darkest of days. It really helped me to get some structure in my life again, get my shit together, improve relationships, clear out relationships, and be gentle and loving to myself. So the key message here is to just be gentle and loving to yourself at all times, because that is the most self-loving thing to do. You know, make sure you've got incredible people around you, friends, family, work colleagues, like whatever it is, make sure you've got your support around you and use them. Like they are there to help. Like sometimes we just get like so like proud of ourselves. We're like, I don't want to ask for help, I don't want to like ask for support, but that's what people are there for, and that's what real friends are, that's what your family are there for. So, you know, rely on them, use them during this time, because that's what they're there for, and they would much rather you open up, ask for help, and, you know, talk to them, communicate. You know what I mean? That is the, you know, one of the big things with depression. Talk about it, communicate with someone. So make sure you are doing that, because that's the number one thing. And sometimes even talking to someone can make things feel a little bit better. Like they always say, like, a problem shared is a problem halved. So even by just being open, being communicative, and talking to someone, whoever that may be, even if it's a counselor, you know, that will help you to just not feel as crazy, not feel as mad. It will just help you feel more human, and it will help you feel into yourself and feel into where you're going, especially. So I hope this video has helped you guys, and let me know in the comments down below as well any advice you have for spiritual awakenings or dark night of the soul, because I'm sure it will help so many people. So thank you so much guys for watching my video. I appreciate all your views and likes. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here, because I would love to see you again soon. Don't forget to leave me a comment in the comments box down below, because I reply to them all. And don't forget, you can join my Law of Attraction support group over on Facebook. It's a free group to join, where you can join myself and other like-minded souls and talk all things positivity and Law of Attraction. Sending you all lots of love, and I will see you next week for my next video. Lots of love, guys.